Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another CSGO cheat review and showcase. In today's cheat review and showcase, as you can see on the left, we are going to be reviewing Novo.win Hook. So Novo.win Hook is a private, legit cheat. It is made for legit and only legit. There's not really many HGH features, but it is meant for semi-rage as well, which is awesome. It's very good at both of those things, and yeah. So instead of starting off in the menu like we usually do, we're going to actually start off with the injection process, as it's pretty different from all the main private and public cheats out there. So on screen now you can see the injection process. You put it on a USB, you load the bat file that it comes with, starts the program, remove it, and injects. So basically, in my opinion, I don't think the cheat's really going to have that hard of troubles with the back, but since it got detected once, but it was a long time ago, I heard. I'm not 100% sure on that. I just saw it on the forum once. So yeah. But that's the injection process. Opening up the menu, you have a pretty basic, just gray, and then another color menu. It's pretty clumped in most of the things. But yeah, so you have your sections on the left here, and then on the top of those, you have your subsections. So you have visuals, your aimbot, your trigger bot, your miscellaneous, your skin changer, your grenade helper, your players tab, your colors, and your config. And at the bottom left here you have your username, and you have your config, which you have loaded. So right now I don't have any, which is just the default, and that's it. You can't resize this. There is a little X here, which you can just hit and insert again and it will go away, but that is there if you wanted to. So we'll start off with the config. So in the config at the top, you'll see this a lot, the weapon config, that's going to be there a lot. You have configs for every single weapon in the game. You can activate the category, and then you can have your standalone backtracking instead of weapon backtracking. So you can just hit that, and then change it from 0 all up to 200 backtracking. Underneath that you have your configs, you have your all the configs here, and they're all cloud-based, so you can just download them from the forums, and then you don't have to re-inject, you don't have to put anything in your folders anywhere. It's not saved on your PC at all. You just hit download, copy, and then you refresh, and it's here. You can load, save, and delete, and then you can create a config, and then on the right here, you have all your GUI type stuff. So you have your insert key for your menu, you have your config binds, which you can enable or disable, and then you can add if you want to use control. You can auto select weapons, so if I were to switch to the AK, it would switch to that, to the category. And then you have all your X and Y positions of, say, your Novo info, which is on the left here, your purchase, your spectators, and your player list. And then underneath that, you have your other configs. So this cheat has skin configs, grenade configs, player configs, and it has weapon configs at the top. Going above that, you have your colors tab. So right here is the ESP, Chams, Glow. You have your menu contrast, your glow and Chams alpha, which is just the opacity, and then your info window alpha, which is opacity again. And they're all RGB sliders instead of color pickers, which I don't really like, but here's just the color tab. Now it's pretty customizable, but color tab is color pickers are better in my opinion. You have your health-based Chams, which as you can see I selected that. As I shoot this guy, becomes more and more red compared to the green which you started off with. You can also do that for for glow, sorry. So that's the very colors tab, pretty basic. Getting into the players tab here. If I was on an actual server, you'd be able to see the players here, and you'd be able to see if they were on your team, which just says nothing, or then T. You can activate that. You can have your team show up here, which you select that. And then you have your resolver. So this is one of the spots where you can activate it. So just disable, enable, or force disable. Selecting a player here, you can set them as an alias, you can set them as a friend, enemy, or priority. And then for each player, you can set the setting for the resolver. So say if one guy was legit AAing and the other guy wasn't, you can set the one guy for a resolver and the other guy not. You can also set that for your aimbot hit scan, your aimbot auto wall, and then your trigger bot magnet. So that's it for the players tab. Getting into the grenade helper tab. Grenade helper, has two subsections. You have settings and grenades. Underneath settings, you have your general tab, which you can just enable. You can enable with the key if you wanted. You can have always active, on grenade, or on grenade and filter. You have the names of them. So this is for your thing. So if I was an actual map and I were to download, let's say Mirage, and I wanted to learn the stair smoke, you could download this off the forum. You could load it, and then you could set the name of it. You can see the distance of it with these two sliders, and if you were to go up to it, it would line you up for that smoke. and then underneath that you have your filter, so you can just see all these. You have your spot correction, which you can actually go through and change that, so then you can actually correct. So if you were to stand, say right here was a grenade spot, that would pop up, it would automatically put you there. And then underneath that you have your aim correction, which you can set to a smoothing just like your aimbot. You can set that to a smoothing. You can set to auto duck. So say if I needed to duck and move, so if I were to move to this grenade spot, it would duck me, move to the spot, and then throw the grenade. And oops, and that is active for every single map. Going over here, you have your grenade selection. So this is what I was just talking about. Say if you were playing on Mirage, whoops, and then if you had that downloaded, you could just hit load config or save config, depending on that. You can also make your own. So you can just add grenade, set throw position, so grenade active, set your grenade type, your move type, like this. You can also set your throw type, and you can set your tick rate. Then you can name it, you can describe it, you can set the positions, and then you can just add it, which is really cool. I like that a lot. And if you were to go on the forum, you can download all these for every single map in the game. And there's just hundreds of them just made by the community, which is great. So that's it for your grenade helper tab. Getting into the skin changer. At the top here, you have your general skin changer stuff. You have your skin changer active. So this is all different. So if I were to pull out the USP here, it has a skin on it. Turn that off. It turns it off. You have your knife changer. Turns it off. Your glove changer turns it off. So all those are separate. You have your live stat track. So if I was to be in a game against real people, it would go up when you kill someone. You have your team selection. So if you wanted to have different skins for each team, you could do that here, or no team check just turns it off completely and you use the same skins on both sides. Under that you have your final skin changer. So let's select an AK here. So if I were to get an AK, let's say you can also choose any skin in the game, which is really cool, instead of just having one set, just AK skins only. So if I wanted, let's say a hot rod. Hot rod goes on it immediately. It changes the name on the right there. You can change the wear of it if you wanted. You can change the pattern if it had one. You can change the style of it. So souvenir here, that would update once I update the skin, but it doesn't update right away, so now it does. So it says souvenir AK. This is kind of cool. And then knife style, so that's just a star. So you can do that with all your skins. It's very customizable. On the right here you have your stat track counter, and then stat track active, so you can just turn it on if you want it to be stat track. It would go on there. Whoops. You have your stat track counter, which you can set, and then your custom name, which will just be Novo.win hook. Underneath that you have your sticker changer. So if I were to select slot 2, and then if I were to search 2014, whoops, and then if I were to iBuyPower Hollow, as you can see it applies immediately. You can also set the wear, the pattern, and then all that type of stuff. And then underneath that you have your knife changer. So if I were to pull out my knife here, if I wanted, let's say, a Bowie knife, switches immediately. You can get any color. Let's just scroll here. Oceanic. So it switches immediately. And then you can set the wear, the pattern, if it's stat track, the counter, and then the custom name. Just like that. It updates all immediately. It's really good. And underneath that you have your glove changer. Let's do hand wraps. You can set that to any skin once again. So let's do leather. And then that updates. You can do the wear and the pattern of that. So the skin changer also has its own config, as I said before. You can download these off the forums. You can load, save, and then save config on disconnect. So that's pretty cool. That's it for your skin changer. Getting into your miscellaneous tab here, you have your panic key. So the panic key is what I've been accidentally pressing. So your panic key is home right now. If I were to press home, it turns everything about the cheat off. As you can see, maybe like the skins don't update right away, but the chams, your FOV goes back and everything. You can't even open the menu. Hitting it again, everything turns right back on. You have your face it mode, which you can enable or test mode. You have your disable all sounds, so that's like your hit sound and stuff. You have your bunny hop mode, so if I were to disable this, hold space, nothing happens. Put it on normal, which is just normal B hop scripts, nothing much. You have your legit, which I have mine on 80% and max hit chance 5. So as you can see, I lose a little bit of speed. And then to the right of that, you have your max hits for your B-hops, as I already said. You have your edge jump, which you can set to pressing key or always. You can also set your edge jump key. So this is on middle mouse right now, so if I were to hold middle mouse and go off an edge, it would jump me right at the edge. You have your auto strafe, so the auto strafe is actually super legit. It's not a rage auto strafe, and it just pulls you through. I don't really use auto strafe, I don't find a need for it, but it's there if you need it. Let's also have a block bot, so you can have it disabled. You can have it normal, which is just if you want to block this guy, you can go back and forth. You have it on head, so if you get on someone's head, it will block them. And then both, which you can set to just both of these. You can also have a key for that, which toggles instead of presses. Underneath that, you have your auto accept. You have your clan changers, or clan tag changers. So if I were to hold tab here, you have your static 140, your 140 your Novo.win hook, your Novo.win overall, your dynamic Novo.1, which is just Novo.win hook coming out like this, and then instantly going away. Then you have Novo.win 2, which is just Novo.win with a bunch of dashes going around in a circle, and then Novo.win 3, which is the same thing, just Novo.win hook. Underneath that, you have quick switch. So if I were to grab a op here, so grabbing an op here, you have your quick switch. If I were to set this to, just to show you, 25 ticks, if I were to shoot, it takes 25 ticks for me to switch and go back. If I were to set it to something like legit, maybe 4 ticks, it switches for me right away. So I don't know how to do it. Turn that off. You can just do it yourself if you wanted to. It's not that hard to just hit 3 and 1, but if you wanted to, you could just set it to like 1 tick and just do it super quickly and just quick switch for yourself. Under that, your smart aimbot. So if we were to go out to this guy, get close to him, that's 1, 1, 2. So it's just health based or position based. So if I was behind them and I could backstab, it would. To the right of that, you have your name changer. So you can do Novo.win hook.com, or you can just do Novo.win overall. So Novo.win overall looks like this, and then just switches your name back to what it was before. You have your chat spammer. So that's what Novo does. Novo overall. You have your location spam, and then your location to the NT side. So then if these guys were on an actual map with callouts, it would spam it in the chat where they actually were. Underneath that, you have your hit marker sound. So this is what the sound sounds like. You have your auto hold pause bots. So this is the same as in Terrarium. So as soon as the game starts or round starts and you have a bot on your team, it will automatically say hold this position so they don't go, don't leave spawn. Just an easy light thing. To the right of that, you have your mouse trigger, which what I'm pretty sure this does is when you're on servers, it tries to mask your trigger bot, I think, as a actual mouse click. And same with aimbot and stuff, I'm pretty sure. You have your player HP mod, which you can go from off, from 1 to 20 HP. You have your disconnect on scoreboard, so as soon as the game ends, you're out of there, you're on the main menu. Underneath that, you have your sonar. I don't really like the sonar, but I'm going to show you it. So enabling it, not a lot of cheats have this, it's kind of weird. Enabling it, you can do it distance or FOV based. I'll do it FOV. You can set the max distance, so if you were to set this from 0 to 60, I'll set it to 60 right now, just for now. So I have it on max FOV 10. So there's no one in my FOV of 10 right now. If I were to get closer to this guy, you could hear it start clicking. Getting closer and closer and closer, it starts going mad like that. So this is basically just walls without using walls. It's walls with extra steps. If you're going to use this, you still had to look at them through the wall to know where they are. So I don't know why you just wouldn't use walls and try not and be that blatant instead of just looking through the wall of them. But I don't know. People like it, I guess. That's why it's there, you know. People use it. Underneath that, you have your backtracking. Again, you have your active, you have your team. So if you want to backtrack your team, you can do that. You can set the max time, so 0 to 200. Again, you have your visibility check, so they had to be visible for you to actually hit their backtrack. You have disable AWOL for backtracking, and you have your rage backtrack. So what I heard, raging, you should want this on at all times because it allows you to shoot the last tick of the backtrack at all times. So that's it for your general miscellaneous. Getting to your HVH miscellaneous, you have your anti-aim tab, which you can set to disabled, dynamic 1, dynamic 2, and dynamic 3. If I were to turn on third person right now real quick. As you can see, dynamic 3 looks like this, dynamic 2, and dynamic 1. And then you can also switch that with a key. So if we were to set this to 1, set it to F as a switch key. And then if I were to set this to manual, as you can see, you can switch it just with a key. And then you have your edge mode, which I just showed you. You can set it to none. You can set it to wall detection, so when you go to a wall, it will detect what side it's on, then flip your AA. Depending, you have freestanding, you have a combined of wall and freestanding, and you have manual, and then wall detection plus manual. Beside that, you have slide fix, so turning that on, it still slides around a little bit, but that's just unfixable. But like going diagonally, it's not, you're just not sliding like crazy, like you usually would with anti-aim like this. Your fake lag check, your FPS check, packet loss check, and ping check. So these will just turn off your anti-aim if those exceed a certain limit. And you can set the ping to whatever you want to as well. Your fake lag, which you can set to a keybind, and then you can do 0 to 6 for your legit. Also, all these sliders you can go past. So 15 ticks, it's in blue because that's like more of an HVH setting since it shows up on Overwatch. But the legit, you can set that to 6, set it to a keybind, whatever. Same with the anti-trigger, set it to that when peeking or when enemy visible. You can set it to past that if you wanted to. And you have a repeat count from 1x to 5x. Underneath that, you have a resolver. Another spot for your resolver is here. You can default enable, disable, or force disable. You have a desync scale for your resolver, so it's 50% all the way up to 100%. You have your manual resolver, which you can set to off, right, and left, off, right, left, center, right and left, right, left, and center. You can also set the manual resolver key, so if I were to select this key, it would switch the manual resolver to one of these modes. And then you have disable manual resolver on miss, so if I were to try to manually resolve someone and I missed, if you had this selected, it would turn that off and resolve it by itself. Underneath that, you have your other HVH, so you have your slow walk. So if we were to enable this with a key, so whoops, with pressing key, and I wanted that to be shift, holding shift here now, set this to a lower unit. As you can see, you can just set it to anything basically, all the way up to 200 units. Underneath that, you also have auto stop mode, so you can enable or disable that. You have, that's just your auto stop, and then you have your auto stop mode, so that's auto stop or auto slow, and then you also have the key for it, and then auto scope finally. So that's it for your miscellaneous tab. Getting into your trigger bot tab, your trigger bot tab is very customizable if you know what you're doing. I personally do not know what I'm doing with this just yet, but it's perfect because it's super customizable. You can do whatever you want. So let's just run this over with you real quick. At the top here, again, you have your weapon config. You can select that. You have your trigger bot basic settings. So you have your active, you have your trigger bot key. You have your, if you want to trigger bot your team, you have your smoke check for your trigger bot, so you can't trigger through smoke. You have your hitbox scale, which you can set from 100% to 100%. So basically what hitbox scale does is if it's on 100%, you'll shoot right at the edge of your hitbox, which makes it sometimes a bit inaccurate. So if you want to like set it to 80% of their hitbox, it will downscale their hitbox 20%, and that's all that you'll go for, sorry. You have the delay for it, which you can set from 0 to 500 milliseconds, all the way up to 1000 if you wanted to. You have your burst for your trigger bot, which you can set all the way up to 2000 from 0 milliseconds to 2000 milliseconds. You have your pause, which you can set from 1000 to 0. And then you have your hit chance for your trigger bot, so you can disable that if you didn't want a hit chance. Your real hit chance or an accuracy limit. So your real hit chance will just use this value. So you can set it to 75%. That's what I got my basic one set to. You have your hitbox check here, so you can do target hitbox or selected hitbox, which is down here. You have your local jump check, so it won't work if you're jumping. Target jump check, so it won't work if they're jumping. You have your max flash, so if you were to set this to 100, if you're 100% flashed, it will not work. Underneath that, you also have your AWOL for your trigger bots. You can enable that or set it to a key, and also your min damage for that. And then you have your check minimum damage when visible. Underneath that, you have your magnet for your trigger bot. You can turn that on. You can set your magnet to be silent, so it won't actually follow them. It will just shoot them, but it will technically follow them. And then you have your magnet RCS. To the right of that, you have your magnet FOV, which you can set to that. From 0 to 10 is legit, and then all the way up to 180 if you wanted to. You have your smoothing type for your magnet, which can be normal or constant. And then you have your smooth value, which you can set from 1 all the way up to 50, but legit is 20. To the right here, you have prefer, and then you can prefer head or body for the magnet. You can have your aim time, which you can set to any value you want, really. And then you have your backtracking, only when not visible, always, or disabled for your magnet. So your magnet will follow the backtrack. Underneath that, your hitboxes for your trigger bot, so you can set this to anything you want, and it will only trigger bot for these hitboxes. And then finally, you have your RCS for your trigger bot, so this will try to control the recoil while you're trigger botting someone. This goes in hand with the burst as well. So that's it for your trigger bot tab. Getting to the aimbot tab next. The aimbot has 3 different subsections: general, target, and rage. At the top, once again, you have your weapon configurations to switch it up, and you can configure everything. Underneath that, your aimbot general, so you can activate your aimbot. You can set it to always active, or you can set it to a key. Basically, you're going to want to set this to mouse 1 if you're going to be legit cheating. You can also set this to an alternate key, which could be set to another key if you're semi-raging, if you wanted an AWOL key as well. You have aim at team, which will just lock onto teammates. You have non-sticky aimbot. To the right here, you have silent aim, which you can set to a different degree. So you have your FOV and then your silent FOV, which you can enable, only first shot, or combined of these enable and only first shot. To the down below that, you have your aim time for your silent. You have your target switch delay, which will make a delay between your aimbot switching to another player if you wanted to. And then you have your start shots, which you can set from off all the way up to 10. Again, you have your max flash for your aimbot, so if your flash at X amount of whatever, it won't actually lock on through the flash. You have your smoke check, so it won't lock on through smoke. Your local jump, so it won't lock on when you're jumping. You have your auto pistol, which just makes you be able to hold down the pistol and continuously fire. So if I were to set this to default auto pistol, holding it down, it shoots. It doesn't work perfectly in a custom game. I found that out very recently, which is kind of weird, but I don't know. You have only aim when able to shoot as well. That's a toggle. And then underneath that, you have so basically explaining this one, if you had an op and you just pulled it out and you can't shoot yet, it won't actually lock onto the target until you can shoot. Underneath that, you have your aimbot smoothing, so you can set your smooth type to anything you want. So you want it normal, you can use constant, you can use time-based smoothing, you can use normal X and Y, or constant X and Y. So this is completely configurable for your smoothing. You can have your smooth time, so you can set that to any milliseconds you wanted to, and you can also set the smooth value of this all the way from 1 to 50, or 20 is legit, and then past that is just crazy, I guess. And then you also have your Y if you're using X and Y and constant X and Y. Underneath that, you have your distance-based FOV. If you're using a high FOV, you should have this on, just because of it's kind of weird. So let me turn on drop FOV real quick. So what distance FOV basically does, say if I was this close to this guy, I would only be able to lock on when I'm this close, or whatever his goddamn head is, because it's a custom skin. But if I were, so I only would be able to lock on if I was this close. But all the way from back here, that guy, I can lock on from this far away from his head. So if I were to go up to him, I would be like up here if I was all the way back there. That's what distance-based FOE is. It just makes everything look more legit for like far range compared to close range and stuff. You can set the scale of it, and then you can set the minimum FOV, and then finally the distance for it to actually scale down. And then finally, underneath that, you have your aimbot RCS, which you can activate, and then you can also make that standalone. So say if you didn't want to go through and make every single config, you can just make this a standalone thing, use that control pattern on every single thing. And then that's it for your general tab. Getting into targeting. So again, you have your weapon config at the top. You have your target settings, which you can turn on backtracking to disabled, always, or only when not visible. You also have target jump check here for your targeting. Underneath that, you have your hitbox settings. You can use priority hitbox, which you can set here. You can have a hit scan of nearest hitbox, which is your FOV, efficient, and most damage, or they're both marked rage. To the right here, you have smart aim, which you can set to, again, a hitbox. And then you have smart aim shots, which you can set from 1 all the way up to 10. And then you can do not lock hitbox while shooting. So this will lock onto, if you select this, it will not fully just lock onto that hitbox when you're holding mouse 1, say you're spraying an AK. And then finally, you have multi-point, which is basically just for raging almost. You can set the multi-point scale from 1% all the way to 100. It's basically just a multi-point, such as a rage bot for any HVH stuff, you know. And then underneath that, you have your active hitboxes for your aimbot, sorry, which you can fully combine from feet up to head, anything in between. That's it for your target. Getting into your rage config, again, in your aimbot for rage, you also have the weapon config at the top. You have your player and backtracking section, or selection, sorry. You have your nearest player and most damage, which is FOV and rage. Once again, that's your player selection. Your backtrack selection, for this is basically all just for targeting as well, but for raging version, I guess. And that's the best I can put it. You have your nearest record, so that's FOV. You have your most damage, which is rage marked, and then your latest record. And then to the right here, you have your target lock, which you can set to player plus backtrack, player only, and then lock nothing. And then underneath that, you have body aim, which you can set to if lethal, and then you can set it to if lethal with 1 shot, or with if lethal with 2 shots, sorry. And then underneath that, you have your after miss shots. You can body aim. So say if you were to bang or miss this guy 3 times, it will go immediately for body aim. You can also set it to on key, and you can select the hitbox that you want to body aim. So say if you only want to shoot him in the stomach for a body aim, you can set that. Or you consider all these hitboxes body aim, and you could just shoot for any of these. And underneath that, you have your auto wall settings. So you can enable or disable that. You have a key. You have your minimum damage for your auto wall from 0 to HP plus 19 up to player HP. And you have your maximum FOV, so you can set that to anything. So you can set that from 0 degrees to up to 10 degrees, which is legit, all the way up to 180 again. You can auto wall when legit, and then you have a legit hitbox count from 1 to 10. And then you can also check minimum damage when not visible as well. And then finally, underneath that, you have your hit chance and auto shoot for your hit chance. You can just you can basically the same thing as a trigger bot, real hit chance or an accuracy limit. You can set that to a value of a percentage. And then your hitbox check, you can use all, active, or aimed. And then finally, you have your auto shoot, which you can set from disabled, enabled, on key pressed, toggle. Once again, all that's the same. You can set that to a key. And then your pause, you can set from 0 to 1000 milliseconds. So that's it for aimbot tab. Getting into your visuals tab here, you have 2 subcategories. You have your ESP and champs all in one, and then you have your other visuals. So getting into the ESP and champs, disable all visuals, literally just disables everything on the menu. To the right of your ESP active, which you can set to a key or disable or enable. You can set that to a key here. You can also set it to CT plus T colors. So since these guys are on CT, it will set it to like almost a blue theme, which is kind of cool. You have your player ESP. You can have it set to enemy only, so if you wanted chams on your teammates as well, you can do that. You have your visibility, so you can have it only when visible or only not visible. So these guys aren't visible, it doesn't show up. Only visible, they're visible, it shows up. You can set it to only when dead, so as you can see, I'm not dead, so the ESP won't work. You have your smoke check, so if there's a smoke in front of them, the ESP won't work. Your legit ESP. You have your box, which you can set from a 2D normal, which looks sort of like this. 2D cornered, sorry, which is just a cornered box. And then your 3D, so it sets them in a prism. Kind of cool. Underneath that, you have your name, which appears at the top, as you can see. Your weapon, which is just text at the bottom. You have your health bar, which you can disable. Health bar plus text. The text appears underneath the weapon on the bottom, and then just text if you want to use that. You have your armor, which is just a line here. You have your head dot, which you can enable, or player color. So since the color is set to yellow right now, it's going to be that. Just enable is just a white dot, which if you were to aim exactly on that dot, an instant headshot all the time. So I just try to move them. It doesn't look like they're going to move. I don't know why. I think it's a problem with the map right now. But that's about it. You also have skeleton, which you can enable that. As you can see, you can set it to a player color, or you can set it to visibility checks. So as you can see, it changes colors the more hitboxes aren't actually visible. You can show if they're bomb carrier, if they have a defuse kit, if they're planting, defusing, if they're the hostage carrier, if they're grabbing the hostage, if they're flash scoped, if they have a helmet and a bullet tracer. So this is just basically where they're looking right now, as you can see. The backtrack, I can't show you this because the map won't work for me, sadly. I don't know how to work it also, which is kind of a stupid brain problem, but that's about it. So the head dot, basically the head dot right now, it will just follow them in their backtrack. You have a line, which is just a solid line from the reel to the backtrack, and then you have skeleton, which is disgusting. Don't use skeleton. That's just my opinion. You have your backtrack color, which you can set to a color of the backtrack. And then on the right here, you have your steps. So this is if they make a sound, it will make a circle on the bottom. Again, I can't do that because this map, I don't know. You can set the steps time for them to be there. I think this is in milliseconds. You can set the style, so you can use circles or text. Set the FOV arrows. So this is out of FOV arrows. So as you can see, you can make the size or the distance, just like that. I don't like them. I don't like the out of FOV arrows on this sheet. I don't know why. But that's it for your ESP. Getting into your entity ESP, it's pretty basic. You have bomb, hostage, grenades, drop weapons, drop grenades, and drop defuse kits. And then finally, you have your chams, which is the big part about any cheat, really. You can set it to a key or enable or disable. You can set it again to enemy or only. You can set it to visibly only. So since these guys are actually visible, it will go away, which is kind of weird. You can set it to texture, which is what it's at right now. Let me just get closer. So here's texture. It just makes everything bigger, and then flat. It's only two options, but there you go. And then you can set that through smokes, which will, if I were to throw a smoke down, it would pop. You can see it through smokes. Underneath that, you have your glow ESP, so you can set that to enabled or toggle again. You can set it to enemy only. You can also set that to your bomb, grenades, your dropped weapons, your dropped grenades, or chicken. And that's it for your ESP and chams. Getting into the other visuals, you have your other visuals here, so your grenade prediction. So if I were to give myself a grenade real quick. Here we go, you have this, and this is what the prediction looks like. You can just toss that. This map is sort of buggy, as you can see, it sort of goes through the walls, but on real maps, it will actually just fully work for you. And here's also what the ESP for the grenades look like. Getting into that, you have your show recoil, so you can set that to always. If we're to grab a AK. Always, it just keeps it on your screen, the little dot there, setting it to when recoil. So when you're shooting, it's just a little dot that will follow the recoil. Under that, you have your no scope crosshair, so if we were to grab an op, as you can see, the crosshairs in my screen when I'm not scoped. You also have draw FOV, which I already showed you, so that's like that. Show distance at base FOV, and then you can disable that. So this is just where your aimbot will activate it within, like that. You have your player info, so you can set that to a key as well, and then your player info tab, as you can see, it's right over here. And then you have your spectator info, which will show up when someone's spectating you, which is a really clean spectator menu. I really like that as well. You have your show purchase, and you purchase time. So at the start of the round, this is your seconds or milliseconds of the time that this will stay up. So it will show everyone on the enemy team's purchases. You have a hit marker. So here's just what that looks like. It's pretty basic hit marker. You have your anti-screenshots. If you were to take a screenshot, none of these cheats will be on the screen. Your map radar, which shows everyone on the map for you. Your rank reveal, so if these guys weren't bots and real players, it would show their ranks. Your survival mode visuals as well. You have max distance for your visuals, so if I were to turn that down a tad, as you can see, that guy goes invisible, but as I get closer, it turns back on. And then finally, you have your information window, which is just on the left here. You can toggle that on or off, so it shows all your keybinds. So if you had more of them, it would just show disabled. It shows your FPS, your ping, your anti-aim, if it's working, so LBY. And then if I were to go and crouch, it would switch to dynamic. And then you have your edge, so that's for your anti-aim as well, and then your fake lag. And then your anti-aim errors, as you can see on screen, I already have them. You can set that to show real. As you can see, so my real is that side, and it shows that side, and if I were to flip it, it would show the other. And then fake, like that, so it just switches. And that's it for your other visuals. Getting into your third person, you can set that to enabled or toggle or key. So mine's T right now, and you can also select the mode. So you can show your fake, which I'm showing right now, and then I can show my real, which will switch over. And then last but not least, you have your miscellaneous visuals. So you can remove the visual recoil. So if we're to grab an AK, it just removes the visual recoil. You have a remove flash, which is pretty self-explanatory. And then you have your game FOV, which you can set from off, which is just the normal one, from 1 degree all the way up to 160, which is kind of nuts, but I don't know, people do it. The game FOV doesn't really make sense to me, so I like to leave that off. And then you also have your view model FOV, which you can set from off all the way to 360 degrees. So if you wanted a gun upside down, you can. Which kind of throws me off. It's kind of weird, but yeah. But I like to keep mine around 90. And then you have your night mode, which you can turn on. The higher it is, the less night it is. It's kind of the opposite of most cheats for their night modes, but that's about it. So that is it for your complete Novo.win showcase and review. Thank you guys all for watching. Overall, this cheat is very good for legit. I don't think we'll ever have any problems with back in the future coming. The visuals are pretty basic, so that loses a point there. There's a lot of selection for them, but like having 2 champ styles and not a lot of options for customizing your visuals doesn't really fit a lot of people's likings, so that's why it's probably going to lose a point there. Your aimbot's fully customizable. It has a lot of semi-rage, and your targeting and just everything is fully customizable. It's great. Same with the trigger bot. Most customizable trigger bot I've ever seen. It goes really in depth, which is awesome. Your miscellaneous, again, has a lot of options, which is great. Sonar's kind of useless in my opinion. I'm just going to knock on that one more time real quick. You have a lot of options just for everything, really. Your skin change is perfect. Updates right away. It has search bar, which is perfect. Thank you. Underneath that, you have a grenade helper, which really does deserve its own tab because it's a lot. You can do a lot in the community for this cheat. It does a lot for the grenade helper, and it makes you just look a lot more legit when you're actually throwing good grenades. Underneath that, you have your players tab. Pretty basic, but you can set everyone to a different setting, which is really nice, so that's really cool. Underneath that, you have your colors tab. This could lose a point, but like it works. You know, everything works in here. It's just a little nitpicky for the person that's using it. And then finally your config. The configs that are saved online, it's really cool. I don't have to freak around with settings. You can just go straight on the line, look for something, type something in, find a config, load it, and you're perfect. And then finally, that's it. So overall, I give Novo.win a solid 9 out of 10 for legit cheat. It's perfect in my eyes. It would be a 9 out of 5 or 9.5. I don't know. There's some features missing. The menu's kind of ugly in my opinion. But, you know, everything comes with time, you know. And as they say on their forums themselves, looks and everything and features aren't worth detection. So, you know, they're looking out for their crowd. They're doing really well on their detection rates and everything. So, I praise them. So, don't blame them for saying that. But thank you guys all for watching. I hope you guys all enjoyed this cheat review and showcase for Novo.win Hook. If you guys wanted to go apply it again, the cheat is in the description. It's the first link there. Also, don't forget to subscribe and like, and if you guys want to see more of these reviews, don't forget to comment down below what you guys would like to see next. I'm probably going to look at Inura or Unity hacks, as those are the ones that I've been told a lot about. So if you guys have any other options, don't forget to leave it down in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys all in the next one. Peace out, you guys.